Have you ever wondered if the real strength isn't holding on but letting go? In a world where resilience is often mistaken for never giving up, walking away can seem like a weakness. But what if I told you that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to leave something that's holding you back? Stoicism, with its deep wisdom, teaches us that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to let go, whether it's a relationship that's draining your spirit or a job that's knowing when to let go of things is important for both mental growth and survival. In today's video, we'll look at 9 situations in which leaving is not only the best thing to do, but also often the most empowering thing you can do. We'll also talk about how these decisions fit with Stoic principles, which will help you see that moving on isn't just about getting away from bad things. It's also about making room for good things to happen and new opportunities. By the end, you'll have a better idea of how to handle these tough scenarios and make choices that will lead to a better future. If this speaks to you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join us on this trip to learn how to use Stoic wisdom to change your life by having the courage to leave when you need to. Let us start with number 1. When respect starts to fade. Respect is the basis of any healthy relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or a coworker. Respect is what holds us together and encourages a sense of mutual appreciation. But there may come a time when you notice that respect is starting to fade. This can show up in a number of ways, such as when others start to ignore your boundaries. If someone talks badly about you or doesn't appreciate the hard work and effort you put in, that's a clear sign that you need to reevaluate your position in that relationship. If you realize that you are being disrespected, it's important to know that staying in that situation can slowly lower your self-esteem and sense of worth. For example, if you feel like your contributions are ignored or put down at work, this disrespect can start to affect your mental and emotional health. You might start to doubt your abilities or feel like you have to walk on eggshells to avoid criticism in your friendships. When people you call friends make cruel fun of you or always put their needs ahead of yours without caring about how you feel in a relationship, that's a sign of lack of respect. Disrespect can come from a partner who often puts you down, doesn't listen to you, or doesn't show love for who you are. Over time, this can make you feel invisible, like no one sees or hears you, which is very bad for your spirit. When you walk away from these situations, you're not trying to be rude or get what you want. Get back at me. About being firm in what you believe in. People who follow the Stoics teach us to treat ourselves with respect and dignity even when others don't. If you leave a relationship where respect isn't present, you send a strong message to yourself and others that you know your worth and won't let it be lower. No relationship, whether it's personal or friendly for work, is worth giving up your pride for. If someone doesn't treat you with the respect and dignity you deserve, it's better to keep your distance and protect your peace of mind. Remember that you have the power to choose who stays in your life and who leaves. Choose to be around people who value and lift you up instead of people who bring you down. It's not weak to walk away. It's a brave act of self-preservation and self-love. Number 2. When you're being taken for granted. Have you ever felt like you were putting in all your effort, giving your time, energy, and love, but it went unnoticed or, worse, was expected as if it were a given? This happens more often than you might think, and it's one of the clearest signs that something isn't right, especially in relationships. Think about it. You're always the one making plans, showing affection, and going the extra mile. But your efforts are met with indifference, or at best a casual nod of recognition. It's like pouring water into a bottomless cup, never getting filled but always being asked for more at work. This could look like taking on extra work or deadlines without getting paid or praised. At home, your partner may respond to your acts of love and care with a shrug or a sense of entitlement, as if your kindness is normal. This kind of imbalance can be very draining on your emotions and body. It can make you feel invisible and unappreciated. If someone constantly takes things from you for granted, leaving that situation is not a sign of weakness or giving up. It's a sign of strength and self-respect. Imagine you're a craftsman who has spent years perfecting their craft and making beautiful, intricate pieces of work. But what if the people around you only see these pieces as everyday items, not appreciating the time, effort, and skill that went into them? Would you keep giving them your best work knowing that it's not valued? Of course not. You'd look for people who appreciate the craftsman and know the value of what you bring to the table in relationships. The same goes for getting. If you're always giving and never receiving, it's time to reevaluate. A healthy relationship is a two-way street. Both partners should feel loved and appreciated. If you're the only one giving, it might be time to take a step back and think about what's best for you. Leaving someone who doesn't appreciate you isn't about giving up at the first sign of trouble. It's about knowing your worth and not taking less than you deserve. It's about standing up for yourself and saying, I deserve better. Remember that walking away can be one of the most empowering things you can do. It's a statement that you won't let yourself be undervalued. It's not just about leaving the person or situation behind. It's about becoming a better person who is valued for who they are and what they bring to the table. And that, my friends, is always a step in the right direction. Third, if it hurts your mental or physical health. Your mental and physical health is your most valuable asset and should always come first. For example, if you're in a relationship that keeps you up at night because of anxiety, or where your overall health is declining, it's a big red flag that something isn't right. This is where the Stoic principle of self-preservation comes in. Stoicism teaches us how important it is to keep our peace and put our health first above all else. It's time to reevaluate the role of a relationship in your life if it's causing you more stress and harm than happiness and growth. Imagine being in a relationship where you're constantly doubting yourself and afraid of saying the wrong thing or not being good enough. This constant stress doesn't just stay in your head. It starts to seep into your body, making you feel sick, tired, or even depressed. Imagine that every time you interact with your partner, you feel worse than before. Maybe it's a subtle but persistent attack on your self-esteem, or they just don't care about your feelings and needs. These aren't just quirks that you should ignore. They're signs that the person in your relationship is hurting you, and Stoicism tells us that this kind of harm should not be taken lightly. The ancient Stoics thought it was important to keep personal balance and harmony. They said that if a relationship throws your life off balance and causes more pain than joy, it's time to rethink its place in your life. Don't ignore these warning signs. Stress, worry, and exhaustion are not signs of strength or how much you can handle. They are your body and mind's way of telling you that something is very wrong. They are warning signs that the relationship is hurting you more than it helps you, and you should not ignore them. A Stoic way of life means noticing these signs and having the strength and guts to do something about them. It means realizing that suffering for no reason doesn't make you strong. It makes you care less about your own needs. When you take care of yourself, you give yourself permission to leave any situation that is bad for your health. It's not just okay to leave, it's sometimes necessary. When you do this, you honor yourself and follow the Stoic wisdom that says we should put our inner peace and well-being above all else. It doesn't matter how much you care about the other person. No connection is worth putting your health and peace of mind at risk. Protect your body, and don't let a relationship put your health at risk. Walking away isn't just a break. It's a strong statement of self-love and respect. If this speaks to you, please show your support by liking this video and writing a comment below with the word, "taking care of myself." We can share these timeless Stoic principles with more people who might benefit from them thanks to your participation. Now, let's move on to number 4. When your core values are at risk. If you follow Stoicism, integrity is more than just a word. It's what makes you who you are. It shapes your deeds, your choices, and your character. Being honest means sticking to your values even when other people or things try to steer you away from them. Imagine being in a relationship where you're constantly asked to give up your beliefs. It's possible that your partner wants you to lie for them, or they may not think honesty and fairness are important and tell you to do the same. Giving up isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strong act of courage. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, which means following your true self and your leading principles. When you're forced to go against your values, it's hard to ignore the turmoil inside you. It feels like a constant battle between who you are and who you're being asked to become. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius talked a lot about how important it is to stay true to oneself. He said that if a relationship forces you to go against your values, it's better to end it than to live a life of conflict and regret. It might be hard to leave a situation that makes you question your morals, but it makes it clear that you won't let anyone or anything change your mind. Leaving a relationship where your values are being harmed strengthens your resolve to live an honest life. It's about putting your own happiness ahead of pleasing others and putting your peace of mind ahead of theirs. Outside approval. This choice not only helps you keep your self-respect, but it also makes sure that your actions are in line with your beliefs, which means you live a true life. If you find yourself in a situation like this, remember that it's okay to take a step back, protect your integrity, and walk away. It's not about what you lose, but what you stand to gain, a life of inner peace and genuine happiness. 5. When you've stopped evolving and growing, picture yourself in a relationship that was once exciting and full of potential. At first, you learned a lot about each other and yourself, but over time, you start to feel like you're not learning anything new or growing. It feels like you're just going through the motions without any real progress or deeper understanding. This is where Stoicism comes in handy. If you're not growing, you're stagnating. Stoic thought tells us that life is all about getting better all the time. The great Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius often reminded us to never stop learning or challenging ourselves. They believe that staying in a situation that no longer contributes to your growth is like willingly walking into a cage and locking the door behind you. When you find yourself in a relationship that doesn't push you to become a better version of yourself, it's a sign that something needs to change. For example, consider a situation where you're in a relationship that has become too comfortable, so comfortable that it's almost complacent. Maybe you once had deep, meaningful conversations about life dreams and ambitions, but now those talks have faded away. The relationship has settled into a routine where there's no room for personal growth or shared experiences that challenge both of you instead of inspiring each other. You find yourselves stuck in the same patterns week after week. In moments like this, it's essential to ask yourself, is this relationship helping me grow? Is it pushing me to learn more about myself and the world around me? If the answer is no, it might be time to consider walking away. You don't have to leave someone at the first sign of trouble. You just have to know when a friendship isn't helping you grow. It's not easy to leave a relationship that isn't helping you grow. You need to be brave and able to look at the bright side. Long-term happiness is more important than short-term comfort. But remember that life is too short to stay in settings that don't push us to grow. There are people called Stoics who say it's better to face the unknown of change than to stay the same. If you want to get excited about life again, moving on can help you find new experiences and chances that will push you and help you grow in ways you never thought possible. Don't settle for being stuck. Don't settle for being stuck. Every ending is just a chance to start over and see what else life has to offer. This is number 6 on your journey of learning and growing. Staying in a relationship out of guilt or obligation. Have you ever felt guilty or obligated about leaving? Maybe you've invested so much time and energy that leaving seems like a betrayal. Or maybe you're worried about how your partner would handle life without you. But let's take a moment to think about what the Stoics would say about this. The Stoics teach us to live in line with our true selves and our values. We stay in relationships out of guilt or duty, but they pull us away from what really matters. It's not only unfair to you, but also to the other person. You're not being honest with yourself or your partner if you're in a relationship because you think you have to be there instead of because you want to be. For example, let's say you've been dating someone for a few years and care about them, but over time you've noticed that your paths are diverging. They may want to settle down in one place while you dream of traveling the world. They may be happy with a routine while you crave adventure and new experiences. Instead of having a hard conversation about these differences, you stay quiet and tell yourself that you can compromise or that it's too late to change things. This is where Stoicism can help you. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that we should not act as if we had 10,000 years to throw away. Life is short, and staying in a situation out of guilt or a sense of duty wastes both your time and theirs. It's okay to acknowledge that your needs and desires have changed. It's okay to admit that even though it's painful, you need to let go and move on. Walking away might feel uncomfortable and it might stir up feelings of guilt or fear of judgment. But remember, a Stoic does not let external pressures dictate their choices. They act according to reason and what aligns with their nature by staying true to yourself. You honor not just your path, but also give the other person a chance to find someone who genuinely wants to be with them. So if you're staying in a relationship because you feel obligated or guilty, it's time to rethink your actions. It's not about being selfish, it's about being real. Release yourself from the burden of obligation and start making choices that align with your true self. You'll find that this honesty, this courage to choose what feels right for you, will lead you to a more fulfilling and authentic life. And who knows, you might even inspire others to do the same. Number 7. When trust has been seriously broken, trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship in the Stoic view. Trust is more than just a word. It's a commitment to honesty, respect, and integrity. Once that trust is shattered, particularly by something as serious as deceit or betrayal, it can be almost impossible to rebuild. Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can control, and that sometimes, no matter how hard we try, trust can't be restored. Imagine being in a relationship with someone who has been unfaithful or lied to you over and over again. Every time you find out about another lie, your relationship falls apart. Stoicism tells us to face these harsh realities. If you've been through a major breach of trust, staying in that situation might only make your pain last longer and make you angry and bitter. The Stoics would tell us that what hurts us is not the event itself, but how we think about it. In this case, staying in a relationship after being betrayed can be worse. According to the Stoics, trust is the most important thing in any relationship. Trust is more than just a word. It's a promise to be honest, respectful, and honest. Once trust is broken, especially by something as serious as lying or betrayal, it can be hard to rebuild. Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can control, and sometimes, no matter how hard we try, we can't rebuild trust. Imagine being in a relationship with someone who has cheated on you or lied to you over and over again. Every time you find out about another lie, part of the foundation of your relationship falls apart. Stoicism tells us to deal with these hard facts. If you've been through a major breach of trust, staying in that situation might only make your pain last longer and make you angry and bitter. The Stoics would tell us that what hurts us is not the event itself, but how we think about it. In this case, staying in a relationship after being betrayed can be worse than ending it. It's often necessary to walk away to protect your mental health and keep your sense of self-respect. It's a smart and selfless thing to do. Being aware that you deserve a relationship based on honesty and equal respect, as Epictetus put it. What happens to you doesn't matter as much as how you handle it. That matters. If you decide to end a relationship based on lies, you are responding with strength and clarity instead of fear or attachment. If your partner has been keeping things from you or breaking promises over and over, this is a sign that they don't value your trust. A Stoic would say to set clear limits on trust, because it shows that you value yourself enough to expect honesty and integrity in your relationships, not just getting rid of bad people. You are choosing to make room for more genuine and trustworthy connections by walking away. You are taking charge of your life and making room for relationships that deserve your trust. You are living according to your values and principles. To be calm, you have to live an honest life where peace of mind is more important than the idea of a perfect relationship. It's about knowing your worth and realizing that leaving is sometimes the most brave thing you can do. Number 8. When you've lost touch with your inner self. Have you ever looked in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back at you? That's when you realize you've lost touch with who you really are. When we're trying to meet someone else's expectations, we often give up on our own wants or live in a way that doesn't show who we really are. This is called Stoicism. One of the most important lessons is to live in harmony with nature. But how can you do that if you've become so disconnected from who you are? For example, there was a man who used to love art and painting in his spare time. He was vibrant, creative, and full of life. But over time, he found himself putting down his paintbrushes because he was in a relationship where he had to constantly please his partner and meet her expectations. His days became filled with tasks that made her happy, but left him feeling empty. He no longer recognized himself. His passion for life faded, and he turned into a shadow of the person he once was. The Stoics would tell us that this kind of disconnect is a clear sign that we need to take a step back and reevaluate our situation. When you end a relationship, you're not giving up. You're giving yourself time to get back in touch with who you are, to live a life true to your nature, which is what Stoic wisdom is all about. You have to get back in touch with your beliefs and find the things that make you happy and satisfied. People often find it hard to leave a relationship, especially if they've put a lot of time and effort into it. But remember that if the relationship makes you lose yourself, it's not worth sacrificing your identity. It's better to leave and rebuild your self-worth than to stay and keep losing parts of who you are. As the Stoics say, our first duty is to develop our character and live a good life. So if you find that you no longer recognize yourself, that's the universe telling you that something needs to change. When you walk away, you can get back in touch with your hobbies, discover your true interests, and build a new life that fits your values. This is about getting back to yourself, which is the most important connection you will ever have. Have number 9 when you've tried everything in life and relationships and nothing works. Stoicism teaches us how important it is to know when our efforts are no longer working. There comes a time when, despite our best efforts and actions, the situation stays the same, and progress seems impossible. This can be hard to accept, especially if you've spent a lot of time, energy, and emotion trying to make things work. However, this moment of clarity is also a strong sign that it's time to reevaluate and think about walking away. Focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't is an important part of Stoicism. In a relationship, you can control your actions, responses, and efforts, but not the other person's behavior or willingness to change. If you've tried every solution, communicated openly, and made every effort to make things better and still nothing has changed, it's a clear sign that you may be going down the wrong path. Picture yourself in a situation where you've had a lot of talk about how to improve conversation, understand each other's needs, and settle disagreements. That person has read books, gone to therapy, and even changed some of their habits in an effort to get back together with them. But despite all of this, the relationship stays emotionally distant. The same arguments and misunderstandings keep happening. If you stay in the relationship, you might not follow the Stoic concept of accepting things as they are, not as you wish they were. Walking away doesn't mean giving up or admitting defeat. It means making a smart and strategic choice. It means realizing that you've done everything you could and that staying any longer could only cause more pain and frustration. By choosing to step back, you're not only showing respect for yourself, but also embracing the Stoic virtue of wisdom that knows when to persist and when to let go. Letting go of a relationship that isn't working also makes room for new opportunities. If you stop wasting energy on things that aren't making your life better, you can put that energy toward things that will make a difference. You might meet someone whose values are more in line with your own, or you might just find peace and happiness in being alone for a while. When it comes to personal growth, following a passion, or building deeper relationships with others, knowing when to walk away is a profound act of self-love and self-respect. It shows that you value your well-being enough to choose a path that leads to more positive and fulfilling opportunities. By doing this, you align yourself with a healthier and more rewarding life. Remember that a Stoic is strong not only in dealing with hardship, but also in making choices that allow you to put your efforts where they will have the most impact and value. So pay attention to the signs when they show up, and have the courage to pick what is best for you as we wrap up this deep exploration of the profound wisdom of knowing when to walk away. It's clear that hanging on to things that don't help us isn't always a sign of strength. Knowing when to let go of things that are bringing us down can protect our mental health and make room for growth. In a world that often equates resilience with never giving up, it's important to remember that the bravest thing you can do is to take a step back and walk away. Life gives us many chances to use this strength when trust is broken, when we feel like we're being taken advantage of, or when we feel disconnected from our true selves. Walking away can be a life-changing act. It means choosing to surround ourselves with positive people and situations, and to welcome the changes that will help us grow and be happy. As you think about what we've talked about today, ask yourself if there are places in your life where you need to apply this wisdom. Are there people or situations that you've been holding on to out of habit, fear, or obligation? Remember that walking away doesn't mean giving up what was. It means making room for what could be. It means letting better things come and opening yourself up to new opportunities that are more in line with your values and your life's goals. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you liked this video, please like it and leave a comment below saying that it's okay to walk away sometimes. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more tips on how to live a life in line with Stoic wisdom. Before you leave, check out the suggested videos on your screen for more ways to embrace strength, resilience, and the courage to go your own way. I'll see you soon.